All right, good morning. Thank you for watching today. We are continuing our series on the miracles of the book of John, and we're not going far today. We're in 6 Friday, and we're going to pick it back up in the middle section of chapter 6 right now, verses 16 through 20. And this is a interesting passage. It's everybody knows the passage. I'm sure it's when Jesus walks on water, um, and there's three out of the four gospels. There are three accounts of it. Matthew, uh, Mark, and John all have accounts of walking on water. They're all a little bit different though, and that's what's interesting. When I think of the walking on water, I think of the Matthew walking on water, where it talks about Peter asked Jesus if he could come out, and Jesus says, "Sure, come on out, Peter." And then Peter had a little faith, and he sunk and all that. But nothing's mentioned about Peter in the other two accounts. In Matt and or in the John and Mark accounts. In the John account, or I'm sorry, in the Mark account of the walking on water, the disciples basically it sounds like Jesus was trying to walk on water and go around them or past them, and they saw him off in the distance, and he took mercy on him basically because he saw him and came and helped him. In the John account, it's only 4 verses. It's just this itty bitty little blurb about Jesus walking on water. So we'll read that and then we'll go from there. So here's the book of John account of Jesus walking on water. John 6:16. That evening, Jesus' disciples went down to the shore to wait for him. But as darkness fell and Jesus still hadn't come back, they got into the boat and headed across towards Capernaum. Soon a gale swept down upon them, and the sea grew very rough. They had rowed 3 or 4 miles. Suddenly they saw Jesus walking on water towards the boat. They were terrified, but he called out to them, "Don't be afraid, I am here." And they were eager to let him in the boat, and immediately, this is cool, and immediately they arrived at their destination. John is the only account that says that once Jesus entered the boat, they immediately arrived at their destination. So, with all the three accounts and the variances and the differences between them all, and I went through last night and read each one. There's a cool part that doesn't change, and this is the lesson for today. Is consistent through all the accounts of Christ walking on water. The one thing that stays the same is what Jesus said when they spotted him. He said, "Don't be afraid. I'm right here. Here I am. Take courage. I'm here. Here I am. Don't be afraid." And that's the lesson we need to get from walking on water. Um, ultimately, is Jesus is with us, even when we're in the middle of a terrible storm, and maybe even we see a storm, and then we're scared beyond that. We're terrified by something beyond even the storm. Jesus is saying, "Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Take courage. I'm with you. You're better than that fear. You're stronger than that fear. All that fear is going to do is stop you in your tracks and make you uh, paralyzed, basically." So that's the walking on water. Is Jesus' example to say, "I am here, even as bad as it may get. I'm here. So don't be afraid." I like too how the accounts all differ slightly as far as how they began, because the first couple, the one in the one in Matthew and the one in Mark, talk about um, they knew what Jesus was going to send the crowd after he fed the 5,000. Jesus was going to go send the crowd home, and he sent the disciples off on the boat. Well, this one says the disciples sat at the shore and waited for him, and then he never showed up. So it's all that's what's cool about the eye of the beholder. It's always slightly different depending on who's telling the story. So, anyway, don't be afraid. Jesus is with us today and every day and always. Even in our hardest, scariest, roughest seas, He's with us. So, tell somebody about Jesus. Come to see us at church, Whole Life Church. We're on US 12 across from Dollar General. Have a great week.